we turn the clock back to when you actually started your business and what really led to the start of the business. That would be a great place to start, because obviously these interviews are all about giving some sort of explanation as to where entrepreneurs that are members and associates of K Club have really come from and how they've got to the place they're at and where they're hoping to get to, and for people to really just get an inkling as to what that journey looks like. So, Alice, I mean, your business is known as Best Business Enabled. Where did that name come from, and what's the purpose of the business? What's the premise, if you like, of the business?
Yeah, back in 2014, we won a National Entrepreneur Award called the Best Business Enabler Award. When I was looking to publicise the fact that we'd won that, I actually had a look around and I found that the domains were available for it. And I just thought, that actually describes what we do really well. Why are we not using that? Because our actual our limited company name is Martyn Interim Solutions, which means nothing to anybody.
Martyn,
really.
Maxim or Madsen?
Madsen, Madson. Yeah.
Okay.
So, which is, just doesn't mean a thing to anyone. It doesn't, there's just no ring to it whatsoever. So when we won that award and I saw that the domains were available, I snapped them up, and that's our trading name now. So we trade as Best Business Enabler. And when I actually worked in recruitment for over 15 years before I set up the business. And to be honest, I never thought I'd be running a business the way I am doing now. The idea was that I would leave recruitment to have a bit more me time and to actually have, just a bit of income for myself, but also have time to spend with friends and go for lunch and all those type of things. So I left recruitment to set up as a virtual assistant. And within 3 months, I had a full-time job, because every time I listened to what people were saying and what they wanted to achieve with the business, I was really bought into what they were doing and wanted to help. So I kept saying yes all the time to everything. And I soon realised when we went on holiday to Mexico that year and I was taking work with me, that this was not going to work long term. So I then started the really difficult journey of working out what our value was, because I could bring people into the team and we could tick boxes and look after specific tasks for people, but I really needed to understand the value behind that. Why did they need us to do that? It was great that I wanted to be part of their team and help. So that's when the journey really began, about figuring out what value we had. And we've now come to a business where we actually are the only company that I know of that are a sales support agency. So we support sales teams. So that will mean anything from doing their research, helping them find prospects, helping generate the relationship for the prospects, marketing. So we'll do blog writing, content creation, social media, and we do also aftercare as well. So we do a lot of testimonials and case studies and help to regenerate business once they've actually won it as well. Because from being in recruitment, I knew that as a salesperson, if you concentrate, and I always look at sales as a circle, and if you're concentrating on this side of the circle, you can bet that side of the circle is getting neglected. And it's not because you're lazy, it's because you can't possibly focus 360 degrees all of the time. So we fill those gaps, and the more consistent a salesperson and a company can be in their selling, the more they'll sell and the more profit they'll make. And we found that one of the areas that we look after really well is when our clients say, our sales team are great, they sell a lot, but actually if they sold more of this product, we'd make more profit, but they sell the other stuff because they can actually hit the targets easier with those products. So we can help fill the funnel with the type of people that'll buy the more profitable product. So we fit really well with companies that want to build long-term relationships, and when they actually sell something, it's about the relationship more than a one-off product sale. So right. Yeah.
And how do you see yourselves then augmenting that sort of long-term relationship development then? That process, ordinarily, for a lot of businesses, they would value that, they would prize that as their domain. That we're not going to let anybody else in on that relationship. So how do you cross that bridge then?
It's about us building relationships with them and showing that we understand the challenges that their team face. And one of the things that we help a lot with is their top salespeople. Really good salespeople are very difficult to find. And you'll find that when a top salesperson thinks to themselves, I'm working as hard as I can, I can't possibly earn any more here, the first thing they'll start to do is either go and set up on their own to sell whatever it is they do, or to go and work for a competitor or for somewhere else. So you lose that person. So we actually help those people that are at the very top of the game in that company to sell more. So we actually help protect the sales team and keep the sales team in-house for them. So they can actually sell more with the same size sales team than they can do on their own at the moment. So we actually do a lot of work at the very beginning around their database, because there's a lot of lost and hidden sales and quick wins available to them that their team just haven't got time to go and find. So we'll go and do the digging and bring that goal to the top so they can actually finish it and make it into a sale. So the actual value that we bring overcomes any worry they may have, and we sign non-disclosure agreements and things like that. And obviously GDPR goes a long way to making sure that their data is their data. We won't buy data for anybody, and we don't own any data. All of our data belongs to our clients.
Right.
So,
So how long have you been in business then now, Alice?
the company as a whole has been in business for 12 years, and this side of the business has been in business 9 years this month. We have the other side of our business is the management consultancy, and they deliver process re-engineering and that type of work to big companies like ports and logistics and that type of thing all across the world. So a completely different demographic to what we deal with.
Right. And how does that company relate to yours? I mean, you're part of the same company.
Yeah.
So where's this come from then? How's this?
The other side of the company belongs to my husband. So
Right.
when we decided to set my side up, we sat down with the accountant and said, what's the best way to do this? And he said, look, really, it's just quite simple. You're very similar in what you actually deliver, but into different markets. Just keep it under one roof. So that's why we've got that the way we have.
I see. Interesting. Okay. This idea of virtual assistant being the sort of the lead into this area, and
Yeah.
that's interesting, isn't it? Because clearly, if you were doing that 9 years ago, presumably that virtual assistant requirement is now even greater, is it? I don't know. I mean, has COVID brought that to the fore, or are we now all virtual assistants, I suppose?
Yeah, I don't know, because I realised, I mean, a virtual assistant is great, I think, for start-up businesses, but there is it's limited really into what it can actually deliver, both for the company and for the VA. But if it fits the VA's lifestyle and what they want to achieve, that's great. And if it fits what that company needs, that's brilliant as well. But it is extremely limited, whereas we're actually able to deliver 360, and it's about growth and profitability rather than VA's more around task management, whereas we're actually about going out and helping deliver more leads, more clients, more profitability for the business. So we've actually gone completely away from the VA element right the way through to turning ourselves into a sales support agency. Yeah.
How do you characterise your best client then? What do they look like?
We work in 3 different sectors. So we work with recruitment, we work with property and commercial, so that'd be surveyors and estate agents and that type of thing. And then on the other side, the other last one is finance, and that can be asset finance. But we also work a lot with trainers and consultancy companies. They come to us an awful lot for support. So any organisation really that has a sales team element to it, but they'll be very strong on sales and they'll understand the value of what they do. So they're not usually coming to us because they can't sell. They're usually coming to us because they can sell, but they actually want to do it more efficiently and more profitable, become more profitable from doing that. And they want to actually provide more support to their sales team, because a lot of the time a sales team is asked to go and deliver all this stuff, but they don't have much support behind them to do that. So we actually help manage field sales teams as well, which can be really helpful. We work with a construction company, and they sell their products all over the UK. So we can actually help manage things within their business. So a sale might happen, but they might forget to actually add in that delivery needs to happen between wherever the product is gets dropped off and where the actual site is. So we'll actually manage those type of things and make sure they don't lose the sale. And so we can become quite involved at different areas. So, you know, because salespeople can get lost in the actual sale and then forget some elements of it. And we can make sure the sale doesn't get lost by, you know, smoothing those waters over.
Wow, I mean, it does sound as though you're adding a huge amount of value to these companies. As you say, when companies start off, the salesperson is usually the business founder, you know, the team, the very small team that's usually involved in getting the business moving. And as you say, the support systems are often lacking, and that 360, that holistic sort of approach to all elements of that sales process, which, as you say, involves also the follow through and the case study being written afterwards, the testimonial being gotten, the social media element at the end of it, that whole cycle of sales and relationship is something that's very, very hard to do on your own or within a small team. That's terrific. So how big is the team then? How many people have you got involved in this business?
Across the company there's 6 people, and in our office at the moment there is 3. But we're actually, what we spend a lot of time doing ourselves is actually looking at how we work and making sure that we're efficient. So as much as the company's grown, our team hasn't necessarily grown over that period of time, because we're always looking at best practice and other ways that we can actually deliver to our clients without actually having to work harder. So that's we've always looked at our own profitability and our own ability to actually deliver, to make sure that we're always giving the best to our clients. But we're excited because we are looking at growing quite rapidly over the next 12 to 18 months. And one of the areas, I'm responsible for our sales, and I love selling. So it's one of the reasons it's not really gone to a member of the team yet. But Rishi announced last week about the training positions that would be available. So we're going to look at taking 3 people next year. Wow. And training them on sales. So over that 6-month period, you know, I'm hoping we'll turn all 3 of them into really good salespeople, you know, and they can go out and actually sell our services across the UK for us.
Wow, so, yeah, that's terrific. So these are what younger people you're talking about coming up as trainees. Yeah, terrific. Well, that's music to the Chancellor's ears, I'm sure.
Yeah.
And so, how do you view the prospects then post-COVID? I mean, you're saying you're busy. You're attending to things, and obviously the people that are needing sales more than ever, probably. But how do you see it rolling out then over the next few years, given the economic backdrop that we appear to be facing imminently?
Well, it's been a mixed bag for us from the end of March until now. We've had some people who've paused service, some people who have drawn back a little bit on service. Then we've had some of the people that have become a little bit busier, and then we've had clients that were about to sign off and didn't immediately because they were concerned about what was going to go on, and then they have signed off with us. So we've had some new clients, you know, we've had some pauses. So you know, it's a mixed bag, but we don't look for multiple clients, if you know what I mean. We actually take on a maximum of 2 new clients a month anyway, because we need to be able to do an awful lot of work to look after them. First 2 months to 3 months, there's an awful lot of work that we need to do to embed ourselves in the company and deliver value over that 12 weeks. So to actually take more than a couple of clients a month would be disastrous for us and for them. So, you know, I think it's quality over quantity, and it's the same for our clients as well. They're looking for that. They're looking for quality over quantity. So I think the types of industries that we deal with are always required. There's always going to be a need for them. You know, in recruitment at the moment, people would say, oh, well, do you really need an agency right now? Because there's going to be so many people becoming available for work. Well, yes, you do, because those people all apply for jobs. if you would get 1,000 people, you put a job advert out there, you might get 1,000 responses, or you might get 300 responses. You have to treat each one of those in exactly the same way, and that's really time consuming. And also, if you get it wrong, it's costly. So to work with a recruitment company means that you get better return on investment, in terms of your time, and also the type of candidates that they will pull out from hats you didn't even know existed. So I think recruitment is going to be quite buoyant. Same for the property industry, because there's a lot of property that's going to become available. I'm seeing a lot of people saying, why is that not being flipped into homes for people? So I think there'll be a lot of negotiation around that that's going to be needed, and surveying. And so I think that's quite, it's going to be quite a buoyant industry. And the same with finance as well. People need to be able to find finance to get them through, and to find, solutions. So I think we work in the three areas that we concentrate on are areas that are going to be quite busy and are going to need support and efficient solutions, really. So I think it'll be good for us.
Interesting. And as you say, those sectors, they're pretty resilient, and will, and already actually showing signs of demand in a peculiar way, not necessarily the way you'd necessarily hope for. In my sector, in commercial property, we are seeing a lot of corporates obviously dumping leases on office space, particularly, or at least considering what to do next with office space, and in many cases drawing the conclusion that they don't need as much as they did before, for a variety of reasons, perhaps. Okay, well, and I'm interested in looking at, for a moment, the sort of challenges, the key challenges you face then with organisations that may be in these sort of sectors, but you come across and you explain what it is you do. What are the sort of obstacles you've, generally speaking, got to get over with all those sorts of businesses? Is there a sort of a common trait that they all have that really provides the first and only blocker, or a couple of blockers usually, that you've got to somehow get over? Is it the trust side of things? Is it the technology? How do you, in this climate, without actually being face to face with them, does that pose a challenge for you, or is that the way that you've always done it? That you've just booked a Teams session or a Google Room or whatever it might be? How does it look in terms of obstacles for you, generally speaking?
Yeah. We've always been an adopter of technology quite early, and we do have clients who are based abroad and not in the UK. So we've used communication tools like this for quite some time. So Skype, before any of Zoom came about and that type of thing. So we've always used those ways of communicating. And in terms of challenges, really, it's about them letting go more than trust, in a way. It's almost like, it's a bit like me with the sales. I love doing the sales. So, it's the last thing I'm giving away in terms of what I do with my business. So it's getting them to leave go and let us make decisions on their behalf. So I suppose it is trust, in a way, because we actually build a plan with them and work through an agreement, and then we actually measure that and sit down and have meetings with them and their team, so we can make sure it's actually delivering value. And we have impact meetings once a week in the office to see, talk about the impact we're having for each of our clients. But they can't really see any of that until we start working with them. But what we do is get to know their business really well. So we spend a lot of time listening to them, and listening to what their challenges are and who they really like to start working with. And we can give them examples, and show them, where we've done that previously. We tend to sign a lot of non-disclosure agreements, so we can't talk about specific companies, but we can give them examples of how we've managed to find or take, somebody from one end of the sales spectrum to the other, in terms of, who they're looking to work with. And sometimes, they know that they need support, but they're not quite sure where. So we can actually build a generalist system, and then we can start identifying where those areas are once we start working with them. But it's building that trust in the first place to actually get to that point. And that is just listening to them, just like we do for them, really. We'll listen to their prospects and learn all we can about where they are and what they're doing, and then look at where they can add value and impact for that company. Because it's not about trying to make yourself fit, it's do you fit?
And is there a technology solution that you sort of roll into this service as well? Because obviously these days, you know, you're talking about sales and CRM systems and all that, then
Yeah.
you know, some of these organisations presumably will have something, some may not. Where do you sit with that? Do you sort of lead them into a vendor that can set them up with the right system, or how does it work, or do you come with a system of your own?
Most clients have their own system in place. And we tend to find that what they've got in place is great. It's just that they're not using it properly. You know, the right information isn't getting in there on a consistent basis, or whatever it might be. There are people who may be using a system that they've actually outgrown, and then we can actually help them transfer to a new system and help them find the right one for their company. So we can do that. Yeah, it's very much, we try and work with whatever system they've already got in place, because they'll have chosen that for a reason. So unless there's something really, really wrong with it, and it's actually creating blockers to them getting what they want to achieve, we'll work with their system, and they just create logins for us to give us access.
Yes. I mean, given you're sort of receiving this sort of delegated authority almost to go out and prospect new business and also cultivate business from existing customers, probably. Again, you've got the trust side of that, but you've also got the opportunity, perhaps, to sort of suggest new ways of product development, of delivering a service, of designing a service, of costing a service. You know, it's a very important role, isn't it? The position you have gives you visibility of pretty much all the aspects of the business, because you're at the touch point with their customers. So you're in that sort of pivotal situation where you can influence potentially the whole business, you know, that delivers whatever it's delivering. How do you approach that? Because you're, as you said, the other half of your business, your husband's business, is management consulting. You know, this touches upon that, doesn't it? You suddenly wheel him through the door one day and say, look, this is what you really need.
Yeah, no, we never do.
Redesign your business.
Yeah, in all the time that we've actually been working together, we've never actually referred our businesses through to each other.
Really? You're kidding me?
Never done it. Yeah, because
wow.
Yeah. We've just never.
Is that a deliberate decision, or it's just literally never turned up as an opportunity?
Yeah, we just deal in very different industries, really. You know, the type of industries they deal with and the type of people we work with are just very, very different. So, and you know, we know what we're good at, and he knows what he's good at, and it mostly keeps us married by by keeping the two things separate.
Interesting. And you think the personality traits are then aligned, you know, within in that sense? That's what it is.
Yeah.
It's horses for courses. Yeah, it sounds like.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah. But in terms, you know, we're always looking. We know what works well, and if we actually see an opportunity for a customer, then we'll actually research it and then sit down and talk to them about it. Because the more we understand what we think can happen and develop, the more likely they are to actually go, let's do that, and build a team around it that encompasses them and us to actually deliver whatever new service or product it might be, or a new way of working to actually deliver through the right type of people. So, and it's very much as well about making sure we work with the personalities of their sales team, because we don't sell them a package and go, this package will fit that. We actually fit what we do around the personalities in the sales team to make sure that we work well with them as well, because it's very much about communication, strong communication, and understanding. So yeah.
Okay. And the size, I'm just interested in the size of the companies that you tend to help. I mean, you've mentioned obviously recruitment, property, finance. What size of businesses typically are you there to help? I mean, if you're giving me an impression of the size in terms of turnover, or the numbers of sales staff that you sort of then start to work with, what scale of these businesses?
Sales teams can be anything from 3 upwards, really. And company size can be anything from 5 right the way through to, you know, 250, 500. We have worked with some very big organisations, and when we do that, we actually never look at it as it being a big organisation. We're looking at that department as the company. And that can be around about 50 people. So, you know, we never consider the whole company. We only really consider that team, that as the company size, because that's what really we're looking at developing for them, that area of the business, and that cost centre.
Okay. And how do you find most of your business then? Where's it coming from? Is it referral, or
It's a
where do you...
mix. Yeah, until we actually really understood our value, it was very much referral based, because we'd say yes to everything at that point. But once we clicked about what it is we do and what our value is and how we help people, then it was very much me turning around and going back into sales mode and going out and finding those people for us. You know, it just all of a sudden it clicked. This is what we're doing for our clients. Why are we not doing it that way for ourselves? You know, and so it was about developing our brand, which we went back and completely changed and developed the website and all of our content and things like that. And then using tools that we use, the same kind of tools as we use for our clients, for ourselves. So we do a lot of research on social media. We do post on social media, but the most of the work that we do to generate business for us and our clients actually happens in the background, which nobody can see. There's an awful lot goes on in the background on social media that develops business. So we do that an awful lot. And then it's developing those conversations. So we have a mixture of things. So we have newsletters, we have letters that we send out to individuals. I pick up the telephone. A lot of business these days is lost because of the impact of marketing, in terms of waiting for, you know, the marketing to draw people towards you. And actually, if you take a few simple steps of action on a consistent basis, you win business with the people you really want to do business with. So, you know, we build a list of 100 companies that we'd really like to work with, and then we start to do some research around them. And we very similar way to the way we do it for our customers as well.
Yeah, but it looks as though you've got the potential to be quite targeted in that sense, because you've got those 3 sectors obviously to focus on. And,
yeah.
And are you mentioned earlier that they could be anywhere in the country.
Yeah.
So they're not weighted towards the northwest or at all, or so they're equally spread.
Yeah, it's equally spread really. We do a lot of research, so we look at companies' house an awful lot. From there we also look at searches on LinkedIn. We do Boolean searching, so we do an awful lot of research, but instead of buying data, we're actually looking for very specific things in that data. So we actually create it ourselves, because we know we're looking for a small section of people really, and we build it from there. So instead of you know, sticking our finger in the air or whatever it might be, we actually have certain ways we can actually go and find very specific pieces of information very quickly, and then research from there, and then that develops into the rest of the sales funnel. So yeah.
Sorry, I was going to say, looking at those industries, they're all, you know, mainly, I'd imagine, UK domestic focused. You're not going to be interested in doing business in Europe, other parts of the world, are you? In a post-Brexit world, or is that an opportunity for you?
Yeah, we don't go for business abroad, but we do have clients who are based abroad. But they usually have they usually have a reason to be in the UK, so they use us as their UK voice in a way. So we have a management consultancy who's based over in Melbourne, who we work with since we opened, I think, really. And we actually help them in terms of their invoicing and the relationship, and, you know, and chasing monies and that type of thing. So the way the Australians would do it and the way the English do it is very different. So we protect the relationship, and also we're the catalyst really between the consultants who work from over here, and, you know, getting the information back to Australia in terms of making sure they get paid and those type of things. So they came to us as a referral. We don't go looking for that. So the business that we do win from abroad tends to come because somebody says, do you know anybody in the UK who can help with this?
Right.
and then we get introduced to them. But yeah, we actually just search for business across the UK.
Yeah, interesting. Okay, very good. And so what are the plans then? You mentioned plans for the future include taking on potentially 3 trainee salespeople. What are the plans for the future, do you think? Where would you like to see things in another 9 years for Business Enabler?
Yeah, by then we should really be around about a team of 18 in the company. And at the moment, the way it's delivered is all of our team is able to deliver on each element that we do. But I want to be able to develop that as the teams grow and actually build expert teams. So we'd have a team that focuses on research, a team that focuses on the lead generation, and a team that focuses on content and that type of thing. So that's how I want to see those teams develop, and they all communicate across across that functionality. And we should never really need to grow the sales team beyond the figures I've given, based on the projections that that'll lead us to where we'll be then. So it's quite exciting. There's lots of opportunity as well for those that are already in the business based on that. So yeah,
and they're all going to be located in on one site. Do you think? You think you're going to be all in one office? Yeah.
Yeah. For me, we shouldn't really need to leave where we are. We've always been quite flexible. We had a client who we worked with on weekends and that type of thing. So our team, and we actually did that on a rota, and our team were able to work from home on the weekends that we work with that client. So we always had that home element in there. And from what's happened really over the past 3 months, it's made me realise that, we could actually continue that home element with a mixture of office as well. So that we actually, like I said earlier, our office size doesn't really need to grow. We can double in size and still all sit in that office. Whereas, if I get to a team of 10 in there and we're all in all the time, I need to find other premises. So, so that flexibility is there now that most probably I wouldn't have thought of in that way in March. So that's quite handy for us, yeah. Because
it's been a big test, hasn't it? It's been the biggest test of home working ever witnessed. It is extraordinary what's happened, obviously. But it has also made people realise, hopefully, what the office really is all about, what its virtues are as a meeting point, and how serendipity is so important for the development of new ideas and actually giving value to the business.
Absolutely.
So. Interesting. So you've got an exciting future in prospect by the sound of it. Plenty of upbeat plans, growth prospects, recruitment, hopefully some new premises. Anything else that really you see the opportunity for the business offering, or maybe changing as a result of COVID? I mean, if you thought about that, is there any sort of decisive shift, any sort of pivot necessary in what you do resulting from COVID?
No, I don't think there is. I think that's because we work on all of what we do is we work on the internet. It's all online. So we work on over 100 and I think it's over 150 different types of systems at the moment on the last count. So that's all in the internet, really. It's not in the office.
Has the migration to Zoom and everything being a lot of meetings, obviously the vast majority of meetings now being conducted very in this style. Has that actually changed the sales dynamic? The way that you're able to source and convert business. Do you think? Because the impression I get is that there may be a slight acceleration of this sort of transaction, if you like, because in the past, getting a meeting booked with somebody and travelling and working a diary, now it's just at the drop of a hat. You can go face to face, virtual face to face with somebody, and you can get that chemistry feel, and maybe you can move things forward a lot quicker.
Yeah, absolutely. before, you've had to really persuade somebody to have that conversation, because they had to spend that was a real thought process was, well, if I spend this time with this person, how much time is it going to be before that and after that? Whereas, it's immediate with Zoom. You're literally saying, I'm agreeing to that amount of time that I'm actually on Zoom for. So people are more open to having those conversations. And because people have been working from home, they're more open to have conversations with people because they've been more isolated. So, human nature is for us all to communicate. So the fact that, people are more open to communication at the moment for the simple fact that they've been restricted to that element of it. So yeah, you're right. It is much easier to get people to have conversations, and it is about relationship building. We always say to our clients, that's the most important thing. Build a relationship with them. Don't look at them as a pound sign. Go and find out about them, because you might, it's like any relationship, isn't it? The girl in the bar looks really attractive, but only until you start speaking to her do you find out if you're actually gonna get on. And that's, that has to happen if what you do involves an awful lot of relationship in the delivery of it. So it's better to find that out before you start doing business with somebody, or try and start doing business with them, than afterwards. So, and I think, people have started to really appreciate the value of communication. They're not taking it for granted anymore.
So have you had some real face-to-face meetings with any clients since March?
No, I haven't.
Still not? Yeah.
No. In terms of COVID safe working, I've actually said to the team, because one of the benefits of the office is that we can have our clients pop into us and have meetings, or if they're working in the area, they can actually come and use our office for themselves, rather than trying to get back to their office. But we've actually had to say, until there's a solution to this, we can't really have visitors to the office. So the only person that'll see people face to face will be me, and that'll be as and when necessary, really, unfortunately, and for the time being. So, but yeah, I've not been face to face with anybody except for family.
Okay, well, that's a familiar story, unfortunately, but hopefully it's going to change. Hopefully it's going to change.
Yeah.
But well, thank you very much, Alice. It's been really interesting to hear about your business, and it's been quite inspirational, actually, because so often you're hearing very negative stories, but yours, sounds positive, and it's great that you are positive about the future.
I think everybody should try and find the positive in this. Challenges are given to us for a reason, and there's always a positive somewhere. You've got to dig around to find it, and I'm not saying it's all sweetness and light, and there's been times when I could have quite easily pulled my hair out, but it's much better, I think, if you focus on the positives in the future than not. So if that's helpful for anyone, then yeah.
Well, hopefully you'll be part of the V-shaped recovery that we're all hoping for. I listened to Philip Hammond, the former Chancellor, the other day. He was on a webinar, and he was talking about that last sort of 10-15% of GDP being the hardest to get back, and that's the great unknown, really. I think a lot of people seem to be convinced that we are going to have a reasonable bounce back, because that's, as you say, it's human nature, isn't it? Once we start to unlock things, minus a few bumps in the road, we should be headed back towards some sort of normal. But it could be a relatively long process. But with your help and your colleagues' help, hopefully, yes, we can get things moving quicker. I do like the idea of recruiting those trainees. I think that's great news. Getting young people into the jobs market one way or another is so important now that they're really a critical case for the immediate future, I think. So that's great news.
I just think sales is so important. If you can teach somebody to sell, it's a bit like riding a bike. You can't forget how to do it, and you can always feed your family if you can sell. So if I can teach 3 people how to sell, they'll benefit our business, they'll create jobs, and they'll benefit our clients as well. It's like, it's just, everybody's a winner with that, I think. So,
Yeah,
you
well,
know,
it's a
quite
life lesson, isn't it? It's a life lesson we're talking about. Yeah, that's terrific. Great,
exciting.
Alice. Well, thank you so much for the time you've spent explaining the business
Thanks
to
very
us.
much.
And I hope everybody who's been watching has got something from that. I'm sure they have.
Yeah, thanks very much. Thanks for your
All right.
time, Martyn. See you
Take care.
soon.
Yeah.
Bye.
Bye.